Hi, this is Dan at Dan Fixes Everything. And today we're at the site of the world's first oil well. This oil well is in Pennsylvania. It was dug by Edwin Drake, and it's only 69 and a half feet deep to get oil in Pennsylvania, where the oil industry started. I'm going to walk you through and show you just how things worked. Okay? First, I'll give you a close-up. If you want to pause, you can read this if you'd like to. Give you a little better lighting on there. And then we're going to go back here to the beginning, and we'll see how things work. Okay. Now, to make the oil well work, you needed a source of energy. That source of energy is the wood that's back in the background. That wood went into this furnace, into this boiler furnace, and the smoke went out the top of that smokestack. That created the heat that provided heat to boil water. Boil water was in this tank up here, and the water flowed in from an external tank, and the excess steam went out through the ceiling. That steam flowed through this pipe and came back into this steam engine. So this was wood-fired, steam-driven motor. Inside here was a piston and a valve system, and the valve opened and closed and drove the piston. The piston came out through a mechanism that was regulated by these two big steel balls on here. By centrifugal force, when the engine was operating, those balls would swing out on either side, and you could regulate the speed of the engine and know how fast it was going by how far the balls were thrown out by centrifugal force. That motion was changed into a rotary motion by a gearbox going into a flywheel. The energy from the piston, because it was a single piston, was boom, 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 boom. It wasn't very even. But when it got to the big flywheel, the flywheel evened out the mass, the weight of that flywheel, evened out that energy, and that rotary motion was turned back into an up and down motion by this gearbox on the end. It went up and lifted this huge piece of lumber up and down, up and down, up and down. This went over to the oil well itself. So they drilled a well, they put a well head on the bottom, and up at the top, there was an air hole for the air to go out on the downstroke, and then on the upstroke, it pulled oil 69 feet upwards out of the ground. The oil came out through the end of this pipe and went into barrels. These barrels were manufactured in a nearby town of Union City. So this was where we first had oil that was measured by the barrel, because the oil went directly into barrels as it was pumped out, and somebody just kept moving the barrels in and out. So this was the world's first oil rig, folks, and this up and down motion driven by a steam engine fired by wood produced the oil that eventually would give us oil-based locomotives and automobiles and the whole world of petroleum. So petroleum brought us a long way, and now we're making the transition over toward an all-electric future with renewable energy. But I'm Dan. I like to fix things. I also love to know how things work. So now you know how this works, how the first oil well worked. And it's been good. I hope you enjoyed the video. And I'll see you down the road.